Hello and welcome to Module 1 of the Mottainai Ambassadorial Training. Here in this module, we'll be discussing waste, its types, its streams and classifications. Then we would have plastic waste as a case study, followed by an overview of the global waste outlook, the Africa waste profile, and factors that influence waste generation rates. To begin with, what is waste? Waste can be referred to as a material that is no longer useful after the completion of a process. Like we see in this slide, the banana transitioned from its original form to the consumption stage and finally the waste stage where it is no longer useful. Generally, there are 5 types of waste. Firstly, we have hazardous waste. Just as the name suggests, this type of waste has potential threats to public health and the environment. Examples of hazardous waste are paints, pesticides, chemicals, phones, laptops, and car batteries. Secondly, we have the solid type of waste. It is the most common type of waste and constitutes any unwanted material that is being thrown away by society. Examples of this kind of waste are waste tires, toys, furniture, electric cords, appliances, cars, scrap metal, oil, and so on. The third kind of waste we have here is the liquid waste. It is any waste in liquid form. Any waste in liquid form can be referred to as the liquid waste. Wastewater can vary from fats, oil, to sludges from various activities. Next, we have the recyclable waste. These kinds of waste can be recycled and includes any type of glass, paper, plastic, and metal. Finally, we have organic waste. Organic waste is any waste material that is biodegradable and comes from either a plant or an animal. Some examples include green waste, food soiled paper, crop residues, paper waste, and biodegradable plastics. There are 2 broad streams of waste: streams made of materials like metal or plastics, and streams made from certain products like electronic waste or end-of-life vehicles that require specific treatment. Some examples of material-related streams are scissors, pens, paper, gloves, wood, tables, fabric, and so on. While product-related streams are battery, computer, machines, and so on. Waste can generally be categorized into 2: biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. Biodegradable waste is any kind of product that can be easily broken down by water, oxygen, or microorganisms into simpler units and decomposed, returning to the soil. Examples are fruits, vegetables, meats, fish, garden waste, paper waste, and human waste. While non-biodegradable waste are mostly synthetic products like plastic, glass, and batteries. They do not really easily break down and cause pollution. They block drainages, they harm life on land and life in water. Examples are batteries, glass, plastic waste, broken bulbs, and so on. Now let's look at plastic waste as a case study. Going back on history, and in the 1950s, only a small amount of plastic was produced and people lived their lives with little or no plastic. In the 2000s, plastic waste rose in a single decade than it had in the previous 40 years, and today we produce 300 million tons of plastic waste each year, which is almost equal to the entire humans on Earth. It will interest you to know that more than 60 million plastic ends up in landfills every single day. Now let's look at how plastic travels. 100 years after it is used, it remains the same way. 500 years later, it remains in the same form, but must have slidden into the ocean, and in 1,000 years, that same plastic breaks down into microplastics, which fishes find attractive and consume instead of their food. This simply means that we consume plastics through the food we eat. In a year, over 219 billion plastic ends up in the landfills. Plastic waste can be found from the top of Mount Everest to the bottom of Mariana's Trench, which is the deepest point of the ocean. According to World Bank, of all waste produced globally, rubber and leather constitutes 2%, food and grain waste 12%, paper and cardboard 17%, other waste such as hazardous waste 14%, metal 4%, glass 5%, and plastic a whopping 44% of all waste produced globally. That is an alarming figure. Now let's look at the Africa waste profile. Africa produces over 125 million tons of municipal solid waste yearly. Of that number, only 55% is collected by waste service providers. More than 90% of this number ends up in uncontrolled dump sites in numerous areas, and others burned into the air, releasing greenhouse gases, which we are going to learn about in the next module, into the atmosphere. Africa produces over 17 million plastic waste yearly, and of this number, only 4% is being recycled. The rest 96% are being disposed of as waste. It will also interest you to know that 19 of the 50 world's biggest dump sites are located in sub-Saharan Africa. You may wonder why there is so much uncontrolled waste in Africa. Let's examine factors that influence waste generation rates. Lifestyle. The lifestyle of an individual determines how much waste that individual will generate. A person who has less time for home-cooked meals and eats out more will generate more waste than the person who does more of home-cooked meals. Urbanization. The higher the migration rates and people in a particular terrain, triggered by industrialization, infrastructure, and a better economic working system, the more waste generation rates from activities, companies to meet their needs. Income rates. Income rates also affect waste generation rates. Countries with higher income rates generate more waste, and countries with lower income rates generate lesser waste. For instance, Canada's total waste generation is the largest in the world, followed by Bulgaria. Although Bulgaria has a population of 7 million people, it generates more garbage than the United States, which has a population of more than 325 million people due to its income rates. The higher the income, the higher the waste. In our next module, we will discuss waste and its connections to climate change, the greenhouse gases, and climate change in Africa. Watch out.